Every vet had given up hope on Bailey, a paralyzed dog who couldn't move her hind legs. Her days were numbered until an 8-year-old girl stumbled upon something extraordinary in her own backyard. What she discovered didn't just save Bailey's life, it left everyone speechless. What could a child possibly uncover that experts had missed? Let's find out. The sun was setting over the quiet suburbs of Maplewood, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. In the backyard of a small blue house, a young girl named Emily sat cross-legged on the grass, humming softly to herself. At just 8 years old, Emily had a way of noticing things that others overlooked, a knack for seeing the extraordinary in the everyday. But little did she know that evening, she was about to change a life. Inside the house, Bailey, a golden retriever with a once vibrant spirit, lay motionless on a padded bed. Weeks earlier, a freak accident had left her paralyzed from the waist down. The vets had tried everything: medications, physical therapy, even experimental treatments, but nothing worked. Bailey's condition was deteriorating, and the heartbreaking decision to put her down loomed heavily over the family. Emily's parents, trying to shield their daughter from the inevitable, spoke in hushed tones, their faces etched with sorrow, but Emily wasn't ready to give up. Bailey wasn't just a pet, she was family. Emily remembered the days when Bailey would greet her at the door, tail wagging furiously, or chase her around the yard during summer afternoons. She couldn't imagine a life without her loyal companion. Determined to spend as much time as possible with Bailey, Emily had taken to reading her stories, singing her favorite lullabies, and talking to her as if Bailey could understand every word. That evening, as Emily wandered into the backyard, her eyes fell on something unusual near the garden shed, something small, metallic, and partly buried in the dirt. Her curiosity piqued. She began to dig, uncovering an old device that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie. It was dusty, with wires sticking out and buttons that didn't make sense. But Emily felt an inexplicable pull, as if the object was calling her. She had no idea that this discovery would hold the key to saving Bailey's life. Bailey's legs twitched again, more noticeably this time, as the device hummed steadily. Emily's heart leapt, but her grandfather raised a hand, cautioning patience. "This is just the beginning, kiddo," he said gently. "We have to take things slow." Emily nodded, her excitement momentarily subdued. "But she moved to Grandpa, that means it's working, right?" Her grandfather hesitated. "It's a good sign, yes, but there's still a long way to go. This device can't do all the work. Bailey's muscles are weak, and she'll need to rebuild her strength. It'll take time, effort, and a lot of care." Emily crouched beside Bailey, who looked up at her with tired yet trusting eyes. "We'll help you, Bailey, no matter how long it takes," she promised, stroking the dog's fur. The family agreed to turn the living room into a makeshift rehabilitation center. Blankets were spread out, furniture was moved aside, and Emily created a progress wall where she could track Bailey's improvements. Her grandfather rigged a pulley system to complement the device, ensuring Bailey's legs could be gently supported as she practiced small movements. The first few days were tough. Bailey struggled to lift her legs, her movements tentative and wobbly. At times, she would whimper softly, her frustration evident. Emily stayed by her side, encouraging her with soft words and treats. "You can do it, Bailey," she whispered, "one step at a time." But not everyone in the family shared Emily's optimism. Her father voiced concerns late one evening as he and Emily's grandfather tinkered with the device. "Are we doing the right thing, Dad?" he asked quietly. "What if we're giving Emily false hope?" Her grandfather sighed, setting down his wrench. "I've wondered the same thing," he admitted. "But look at that girl. She's got more determination than most adults I know. And Bailey, she hasn't given up yet. Sometimes hope is all you need to keep going." Meanwhile, Emily remained steadfast. She spent hours researching dog rehabilitation methods, watching videos, and learning exercises she could try with Bailey. She even reached out to a local vet specializing in canine therapy, who agreed to visit and provide guidance. The vet, Dr. Morales, was impressed by Emily's commitment. "You've done an incredible job so far," she told Emily during her first visit. "This device is unique. I've never seen anything quite like it, but we'll need to pair it with physical therapy to really help Bailey recover." Under Dr. Morales' guidance, Emily began daily therapy sessions with Bailey. She used soft resistance bands to gently stretch Bailey's muscles and encourage movement. Each session was met with mixed results. Some days, Bailey made small strides. Other days, she seemed too tired to try. The emotional toll began to weigh on Emily. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult session where Bailey refused to move, Emily ran to her room, tears streaming down her face. What if she never gets better? She sobbed to her grandfather, who had come to check on her. Her grandfather sat beside her, his hand resting on her shoulder. "Recovery isn't a straight path, kiddo," he said. "There will be setbacks, but that doesn't mean you're not making progress. Bailey needs you to believe in her even when it's hard." Emily wiped her tears and nodded. "You're right, Grandpa, I can't give up on her." The following day, Emily returned to Bailey's side with renewed determination. She decided to make therapy sessions fun, incorporating Bailey's favorite toys and games. She dangled a squeaky toy just out of reach, encouraging Bailey to stretch toward it. The moment Bailey lifted her paw slightly, Emily burst into cheers. "Good girl, Bailey! You're amazing." Gradually, the small victories began to add up. Bailey's legs grew stronger, her movements more confident. One day, as Emily held out a treat, Bailey managed to push herself onto her front paws. Emily gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. "Grandpa, Mum, Dad, come quick, she's doing it." The family rushed in, their disbelief quickly turning to joy as they watched Bailey hold herself up for a few seconds before sinking back down. Emily hugged her dog tightly, her tears this time filled with pride. "I knew you could do it," she whispered. Dr. Morales was equally thrilled during her next visit. "This is incredible progress," she said, jotting down notes. "With consistent therapy and the support of this device, I believe Bailey could walk again." But progress wasn't without its challenges. Some days, Bailey's legs seemed to revert to weakness, and the family worried they were pushing her too hard. Emily's grandfather made adjustments to the device, ensuring it provided just the right amount of support. Through it all, Emily never wavered, her bond with Bailey growing deeper with each passing day. One crisp morning, as the family gathered for Bailey's therapy session, something extraordinary happened. With Emily's encouragement, Bailey managed to pull herself upright. For the first time in months, she stood on all fours. The room erupted in cheers, tears of joy streaming down everyone's faces. Bailey wagged her tail weakly, her eyes sparkling with determination. Emily knelt beside her, wrapping her arms around her neck. "You're the bravest dog in the world," she whispered. As Bailey stood for those few triumphant moments, Emily's heart swelled with pride. But just as quickly, a wave of concern washed over her. Bailey's legs trembled visibly, her strength giving way, and she collapsed gently into the padded harness of the support device. Emily rushed to her side, stroking her fur. "You did amazing, Bailey. I'm so proud of you." Dr. Morales, who had stayed to observe, crouched beside Bailey, her expression serious. "This is a big milestone, Emily," she said softly, "but we need to be careful. Pushing Bailey too hard might cause setbacks." Emily nodded, determined to strike a balance between pushing Bailey forward and allowing her time to recover. But as the family discussed the next steps, a subtle tension filled the room. "Doctor." Morales hesitated, then glanced at Emily's parents. "There's something I need to tell you," she said. Emily's mother frowned. "What is it, Doctor?" "Doctor." Morales hesitated before explaining. "I've been looking into similar cases, and while Bailey's progress is remarkable, we might be facing a condition that goes beyond physical therapy. There's a possibility that her spinal injury could have a degenerative aspect." "Degenerative?" Emily's father asked, his tone laced with worry. "It means that even if we help Bailey walk again, there's a chance her condition could worsen over time. It's rare, but I've seen cases where dogs regain mobility, only to lose it again." Emily felt her heart drop. She looked at Bailey, who rested peacefully, seemingly unaware of the weight of the conversation. "So, what does that mean for Bailey?" she asked, her voice trembling. Dr. Morales sighed. "It means we need to prepare for the possibility that her recovery might not be permanent, but it also means we can't give up. Every step she takes, every bit of strength she gains, is still a victory." Emily's grandfather spoke up, his voice steady. "We've come this far. Let's focus on the progress she's making. Whatever happens in the future, we'll face it together." Despite the uncertainty, Emily refused to let the revelation dampen her spirits. She spent the evening researching cases of dogs with similar injuries, reading stories of triumphs and challenges. One particular story caught her attention: a paralyzed service dog that had regained mobility through an innovative combination of therapy and advanced prosthetics. Emily's mind raced with ideas. If prosthetics could help one dog, why not Bailey? The next morning, Emily approached her grandfather with her new idea. "Grandpa, what if we combine the support device with something that can help her legs move more naturally, like a prosthetic?" Her grandfather scratched his chin thoughtfully. "That's an ambitious idea, Emily. It's not something we can make overnight." "I know," Emily said, her determination unwavering, "but I think it could work. Bailey's legs are trying to move. She just needs a little extra help." Inspired by Emily's vision, her grandfather agreed to help. Together, they began sketching designs for a lightweight, flexible brace that could support Bailey's legs while mimicking natural movement. They enlisted the help of a local engineering student, Alex, who had a passion for robotics and eagerly took on the challenge. While the adults worked on the prototype, Emily focused on keeping Bailey engaged and motivated. She created obstacle courses with soft mats and toys, encouraging Bailey to crawl, stretch, and strengthen her muscles. Every small victory, a wag of the tail, a shuffle forward, was celebrated like a major milestone. As the weeks passed, the prototype began to take shape. Alex's design incorporated sensors that could detect Bailey's movements, triggering the braces to assist when her legs needed support. The device was tested and adjusted repeatedly until they were confident it was ready. The day of the first trial was filled with nervous excitement. The family gathered in the living room, Bailey positioned carefully in her harness. Alex fitted the braces onto Bailey's legs, explaining how they worked. These should give her just enough support to take a few steps. "It'll feel strange at first, but I think she'll adapt quickly." Emily knelt beside Bailey, holding her face gently. "You've got this, Bailey. Just one step at a time." As Alex activated the device, the braces whirred softly, aligning with Bailey's legs. She hesitated at first, shifting slightly as if testing the sensation. Then, to everyone's astonishment, she took a cautious step forward. The room erupted in cheers. "She did it!" Emily exclaimed, tears streaming down her face. She really did it. Bailey's progress was undeniable, but the road ahead remained uncertain. The revelation of her potential degenerative condition loomed in the back of everyone's mind, a silent reminder of the fragility of her recovery. Yet, as Bailey took another step, then another, the family's hope was reignited. Bailey's first tentative steps with the prototype braces became a pivotal moment for everyone. Emily beamed with pride as Bailey wobbled forward, her tail wagging with cautious excitement. The room filled with applause, laughter, and a few tears as the family celebrated the small but significant victory. Emily's grandfather clapped Alex on the back. "This is incredible work, son. You've given Bailey a real chance." Alex blushed, his smile shy but proud. "It's just the beginning. We'll need to keep tweaking the braces as she gets stronger, but I think this is a good start." Dr. Morales, who had joined them for the trial, examined Bailey closely as she walked. "Her gait is still uneven, and she's relying on the support heavily," she observed. "But the important thing is that she's moving. With consistent therapy and adjustments to the device, she could achieve much more." Emily knelt next to Bailey, offering her a treat. "You're amazing, Bailey. I knew you could do it." Bailey licked Emily's face, her eyes bright with trust and love. As the initial excitement settled, the family turned their attention to the challenges ahead. Dr. Morales reminded them of the importance of balancing optimism with realistic expectations. "This is a wonderful step forward, but it's going to take a lot of time, effort, and patience to see how far Bailey can go." Emily's mother nodded, her expression serious. "We're committed to this. Bailey's part of the family, and we'll do whatever it takes to help her." That evening, Emily sat on her bed, scrolling through her phone. She came across videos of other animals overcoming disabilities with the help of innovative technology and therapy. Each story filled her with inspiration and hope. Bailey isn't just going to walk again, she thought. She's going to thrive. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Emily and her family established a daily routine that included therapy sessions for Bailey. They built small ramps and tunnels in the backyard, creating a makeshift rehabilitation course. Emily guided Bailey through each obstacle, cheering her on with every step. At the same time, Alex worked tirelessly on improving the braces. After watching Bailey's movements, he realized that the design could be enhanced with softer padding and a more responsive mechanism to mimic her natural stride. He often brought his sketches to Emily's grandfather, who offered insights based on his years of experience with machinery. Despite the progress, there were moments of frustration. Some days, Bailey seemed eager and cooperative, while other days, she resisted the exercises, her exhaustion evident. Emily found herself battling her own emotions during those moments. "What if this doesn't work?" she confided in her mother one evening. Her mother wrapped her in a hug. "You're doing everything you can, sweetheart. Bailey knows how much you love her, and that's what matters most." The family wasn't alone in their journey. News of Bailey's recovery efforts spread through their small town, and soon neighbors and friends began stopping by to show their support. One day, Emily was surprised to see her teacher at the door, holding a donation jar. "The class wanted to help Bailey," she explained, handing over a jar filled with coins and small bills. "She's inspired all of us." Emily's eyes welled up with tears. "Thank you so much. This means the world to us." The community's support extended beyond donations. A local carpenter volunteered to build a sturdier rehabilitation course, while a veterinarian specializing in physical therapy offered to assist with Bailey's sessions. With each act of kindness, Emily felt her determination grow. Meanwhile, Bailey's progress continued to improve, albeit gradually. She went from taking a few steps with the braces to walking across the yard without pausing. Her strength grew visibly, and she began to rely less on the harness. Her tail, once limp and lifeless, wagged with increasing enthusiasm. One evening, as Emily watched Bailey playfully nudge a ball with her nose, she turned to her grandfather. "Do you think she'll ever run again?" Her grandfather smiled, his eyes twinkling with hope. "If anyone can figure out how to make it happen, it's you." The family's perseverance and Bailey's growing confidence set the stage for what came next, a major breakthrough that would test their resilience and redefine their understanding of what was possible. But for now, they savored the small victories, each one a testament to the power of love, determination, and a community united by hope. The progress Bailey had made inspired Emily and her family, but new challenges began to emerge, testing their resolve. As Bailey grew stronger, her reliance on the braces decreased, but she started to develop sores on her legs from the constant friction of the equipment. Emily noticed them one afternoon as she was cleaning the harness. "Grandpa, look at this," she said, holding Bailey's leg gently to show the red patches. "What do we do?" Her grandfather examined the sores and frowned. "We'll have to adjust the padding and maybe give her a break from the braces for a few days," he said. But without the braces, her therapy might slow down. Dr. Morales was called to assess the situation. She confirmed the sores were minor, but advised a temporary halt to using the equipment. "Her skin needs time to heal. Let's focus on gentle stretches and hydrotherapy for now," she suggested. Emily was disheartened by the setback, but refused to let it derail Bailey's progress. With Alex's help, she devised a new routine involving swimming exercises at a nearby lake. The cool water not only soothed Bailey's sores, but also provided low-impact resistance to help rebuild her strength. At the lake, Bailey seemed to come alive. She paddled through the water with a determination that brought a smile to Emily's face. "This might be just what she needs," Emily said, as she watched Bailey chase a floating toy. The glimmer of hope renewed her energy. However, the break from the braces also revealed another problem. Without the structured support, Bailey began to favor her front legs, putting undue strain on them. Alex noticed it one day as he observed her movements. "She's compensating," he said, jotting notes in his sketchbook. "If we don't address this soon, it could lead to long-term damage." Alex spent late nights in his garage, redesigning the braces to distribute Bailey's weight more evenly. He incorporated lightweight materials and adjustable straps to reduce friction and improve comfort. The new design also allowed for better alignment of her back legs, encouraging a more natural gait. But the challenges didn't stop there. Emily's family began to feel the financial strain of Bailey's rehabilitation. The frequent vet visits, specialized equipment, and therapy sessions were adding up. Emily overheard her parents discussing the mounting bills one night. "We'll manage," her father said, trying to reassure her mother. "We'll cut back on some expenses and figure it out." Emily couldn't bear the thought of her family struggling because of her love for Bailey. Determined to help, she brainstormed ways to raise funds. With the support of her friends and neighbors, she organized a community event, a Bailey's Day at the park. The event featured a bake sale, games, and a chance to meet Bailey, who had become something of a local hero. On the day of the event, Bailey stood proudly next to Emily, her new braces gleaming in the sunlight. Children flocked to pet her, while adults marveled at her resilience. The fundraiser was a resounding success, raising enough money to cover Bailey's therapy for the next few months. As the community rallied around Bailey, Emily found herself reflecting on the deeper connections her dog had created. "Bailey's story isn't just about her," she said to her mother one evening. "She's bringing people together, showing them what's possible when you don't give up." Meanwhile, Alex's redesigned braces were ready for testing. With Bailey's skin healed, the family carefully fitted her with the new equipment. The improvements were immediately noticeable. Bailey moved with greater ease, and the padding prevented any further irritation. Emily's heart swelled as she watched Bailey trot a short distance across the yard. "She's amazing," Emily whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I can't believe how far she's come." The new braces were a turning point, but they also set the stage for the next hurdle, preparing Bailey to walk without any assistance. Dr. Morales emphasized the importance of strengthening Bailey's muscles and rebuilding her confidence. "The braces are a tool, not a crutch," she reminded Emily. "Our goal is for Bailey to rely on her own strength." To this end, Emily and her family introduced new challenges into Bailey's routine. They set up agility obstacles, encouraged her to navigate uneven terrain, and rewarded her with treats and praise for every small victory. Despite the setbacks and sacrifices, Bailey's journey had become a beacon of hope, not just for Emily's family, but for everyone who had followed her story. And as Bailey's determination shone brighter with each passing day, Emily realized that the challenges they faced only made the triumphs more meaningful. Bailey's journey to recovery wasn't just a physical challenge, it was an emotional roller coaster that tested the strength of Emily's family and the bonds they shared with one another. As Bailey's progress continued, the family found themselves facing tough decisions about how far they were willing to go to give her the best chance at a full recovery. One evening, Emily and her grandfather sat on the porch, watching Bailey explore the yard with her new braces. The golden light of sunset bathed the scene in warmth, but the weight of unspoken concerns hung heavy in the air. "She's doing better," Emily said, breaking the silence. "But what if it's not enough? What if she never runs again?" Her grandfather sighed deeply, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Emily, you've already given Bailey a life she wouldn't have had otherwise. Running or not, she's happy. That's what matters." Emily nodded, but her heart remained heavy. She wanted more than happiness for Bailey. She wanted her dog to feel free, unencumbered by braces or limitations. The thought of Bailey never fully recovering felt like a failure, despite everything they had accomplished. Meanwhile, the rest of the family was grappling with the practical side of Bailey's care. Emily's parents, though proud of their daughter's dedication, began to question how much longer they could sustain the financial and emotional demands. During a quiet conversation in the kitchen, Emily's father expressed his concerns to her mother. "We've stretched ourselves thin," he said. "The fundraiser helped, but it's not enough to cover everything indefinitely. At some point, we have to think about what's realistic." Her mother looked conflicted, glancing at Emily through the window as she played with Bailey. "How do we tell her that? She's poured her heart into this." Unaware of their conversation, Emily threw a ball for Bailey, cheering as the dog trotted after it. But even in moments of joy, she couldn't shake the fear that her efforts might not be enough. Later that night, she sat at her desk, staring at a blank piece of paper. She began to write a letter, a plea for guidance, to a national organization that specialized in animal rehabilitation. "Dear animal advocates," she began, "my name is Emily, and my dog Bailey is the bravest dog in the world." The letter poured out of her like a flood, capturing every moment of Bailey's journey, every hurdle they'd overcome. She ended it with a heartfelt request for advice, support, or even just encouragement. After sealing the envelope, she felt a small spark of hope reignite. A week later, a package arrived at the family's doorstep. Inside was a letter from the organization, praising Emily for her determination and resilience, along with a donation to help cover Bailey's ongoing care. The package also contained a book on advanced canine rehabilitation techniques and a note encouraging Emily to keep pushing forward. "This is amazing," Emily exclaimed, showing the letter to her parents. Her excitement was contagious, and for the first time in weeks, her parents felt a glimmer of optimism. Buoyed by the support, Emily and her family dove into the book, learning about new exercises and methods to help Bailey. They discovered techniques for building core strength, improving coordination, and even fostering Bailey's mental engagement through problem-solving games. But the journey wasn't without its setbacks. One rainy afternoon, as Emily guided Bailey through a new exercise, the dog stumbled and whimpered in pain. Emily's heart sank as she rushed to her side, gently checking for injuries. Bailey's braces had twisted slightly, causing discomfort. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. "I thought I was helping," she said, her voice breaking. Her grandfather, who had been watching from the porch, came to her side. "Mistakes happen, Emily. What matters is how we learn from them." Together, they adjusted the braces, ensuring a more secure fit. Bailey wagged her tail as if to reassure Emily, her resilience shining through once again. The incident deepened Emily's understanding of the delicate balance between pushing Bailey and respecting her limits. She began to pay closer attention to Bailey's cues, learning when to encourage her and when to let her rest. This mutual trust became the foundation of their partnership, strengthening their bond even further. As the weeks passed, Bailey's progress became undeniable. She began taking longer walks, her steps steadier and more confident. Her tail wagged constantly, a reflection of her growing joy and vitality. The emotional highs and lows of the journey had taught Emily and her family not only about perseverance, but also about the importance of celebrating every small victory. One evening, as Bailey rested by Emily's side, Emily turned to her parents. "Thank you for believing in me," she said softly. "I know this hasn't been easy." Her mother hugged her tightly. "We believe in you because you believe in Bailey." That kind of love is rare, and it's worth everything. With renewed determination, the family prepared for the next phase of Bailey's journey, knowing that the road ahead would still be challenging, but filled with hope and possibility. As Bailey's recovery journey unfolded, the stakes grew higher. The family's initial progress brought hope, but also new challenges that threatened to derail everything they had worked for. Bailey was improving, but the path forward was fraught with unexpected complications. One crisp autumn morning, Emily and Bailey were out for their daily walk in the yard. Bailey had grown stronger, her steps more confident. Emily beamed with pride as she watched her dog navigate the uneven ground with relative ease. But just as Bailey reached the edge of the garden, her legs buckled, and she fell to the ground with a yelp. Emily rushed to her side, her heart pounding. "Bailey, are you okay?" she cried, kneeling next to her. Bailey wagged her tail weakly, but her eyes were filled with confusion and fear. Emily's grandfather, hearing the commotion, hurried over. "What happened?" "She was doing so well," Emily said, tears streaming down her face. "I don't understand." They carefully carried Bailey back inside and called Dr. Hartman, who had been overseeing her care. The vet arrived quickly and performed a thorough examination. "It's likely muscle fatigue," Dr. Hartman explained. "Bailey's made incredible progress, but she's still rebuilding her strength. Pushing too hard, even unintentionally, can lead to setbacks." Emily nodded, her mind racing with guilt. "I should have known," she whispered. "I pushed her too far." Dr. Hartman placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Setbacks are part of the process, Emily. What matters is how you adapt." Despite the vet's encouragement, Emily couldn't shake the fear that Bailey's progress might stall or even regress. She poured herself into researching new techniques, watching videos of other dogs overcoming paralysis, and consulting with online communities. In one of her searches, she stumbled upon a forum post that sparked her curiosity. The post detailed a groundbreaking treatment involving regenerative therapy, using cutting-edge techniques to repair damaged nerves. It was an experimental procedure, expensive and not without risks, but the testimonials were compelling. Dogs who had once been written off as hopeless were now running, playing and thriving. Emily brought the idea to her family at dinner that evening. "What if we tried regenerative therapy for Bailey?" she asked, her voice filled with cautious hope. Her parents exchanged hesitant glances. "Emily, that sounds incredible," her father said carefully, "but it also sounds expensive and risky." Emily pulled up the testimonials on her tablet, showing them videos of dogs transformed by the treatment. "I know it's not guaranteed, ma folks, but what if it works? Bailey deserves a chance." The family spent the next few days debating the idea. Emily's parents were torn between their desire to support her and their concerns about the financial and emotional toll. Meanwhile, Emily threw herself into fundraising efforts, determined to make the treatment possible. She started a campaign online, sharing Bailey's story and asking for help. The video she created, featuring clips of Bailey's progress and her unwavering spirit, quickly gained traction. Donations began to pour in, but so did the weight of public scrutiny. "Do you think this is really necessary?" a comment read. "Some dogs are better off being put out of their misery." Emily was devastated by the negativity, but found solace in the overwhelming support from others. Messages of encouragement flooded in, and Bailey's story touched hearts far beyond their small town. Amid the fundraising efforts, another unexpected challenge arose. Bailey's condition began to plateau. While she could still walk with assistance, her progress slowed, and some days it felt like she was moving backward. Dr. Hartman reassured the family that plateaus were normal, but Emily struggled to accept it. "What if this is as good as it gets?" she asked her grandfather one evening. He looked at her with gentle wisdom. "Emily, even if it is, look how far she's come. That's because of you." The words gave her comfort, but her determination to push forward didn't waver. A week later, Emily's campaign reached its goal, thanks to a generous anonymous donation that covered the remaining costs. The family scheduled Bailey's treatment at a renowned animal hospital, where specialists in regenerative therapy would oversee her care. The night before the procedure, Emily sat with Bailey in her room, stroking her fur. "No matter what happens tomorrow," she whispered, "I'm so proud of you. You're my hero." Bailey nuzzled her hand, her eyes full of trust. It was as if she knew that the next day would be a turning point, not just for her, but for the entire family. The morning of Bailey's procedure arrived, bringing with it a mixture of hope and anxiety that hung in the air like a dense fog. Emily clutched Bailey's leash tightly as they walked into the animal hospital, her parents and grandfather following close behind. The hospital was state-of-the-art, with sleek walls and bright sterile lighting, a stark contrast to the rustic charm of their home. A veterinary technician greeted them warmly and led them to a consultation room where Dr. Caldwell, the specialist in regenerative therapy, awaited. She was a tall woman with kind eyes and an air of quiet confidence. "Bailey's story is inspiring," Dr. Caldwell began, addressing the family. "Her determination is a testament to your dedication. Today, we'll take the next step together." Dr. Caldwell explained the procedure in detail, outlining the process of extracting stem cells from Bailey's bone marrow and injecting them into her damaged spinal cord to promote healing. She didn't shy away from the risks, but reassured them that Bailey was an excellent candidate for success. "Whatever happens," Emily said softly, "thank you for giving us this chance." Bailey's tail wagged slightly, sensing the collective emotions in the room. Emily leaned down to hug her tightly. "You've got this, Bailey," she whispered. "You're the bravest dog in the world." The family waited anxiously in the lobby while the procedure was underway. Emily paced back and forth, clutching Bailey's favorite toy, a worn-out plush duck for comfort. Her grandfather sat nearby, knitting quietly, a new hobby he'd picked up to pass the time and calm his nerves. After what felt like an eternity, Dr. Caldwell returned with a reassuring smile. "Bailey handled the procedure beautifully," she said. "The next few weeks will be critical as we monitor her response." Relief washed over the family, but Emily knew the journey was far from over. Over the next several days, Bailey remained under the care of the hospital's rehabilitation team, undergoing physical therapy to complement the regenerative treatment. Emily visited every day, bringing Bailey her favorite treats and telling her stories about the farm. Bailey's progress was slow but steady. Each time Emily walked into the therapy room, she noticed subtle changes, Bailey's tail wagging more energetically, her attempts to push herself up becoming more confident. The staff marveled at her determination, and Emily's presence seemed to fuel Bailey's progress. One afternoon, as Emily sat on the floor beside Bailey, Dr. Caldwell joined them, carrying a clipboard filled with notes. "Emily," she said, kneeling down, "Bailey's recovery is remarkable. She's responding better than we anticipated. But I have to ask, what's your secret? You seem to bring out something special in her." Emily smiled, stroking Bailey's fur. "I just remind her how much she's loved, that she's not alone." Dr. Caldwell nodded thoughtfully. "Never underestimate the power of connection," she said. "Sometimes that's the best medicine of all." The next day, the hospital invited a local journalist to document Bailey's journey. They wanted to raise awareness about regenerative therapy and its potential to transform the lives of animals like Bailey. At first, Emily felt shy about being in the spotlight, but her grandfather gently encouraged her. "Emily," he said, "this isn't just about Bailey anymore. It's about showing others what's possible when you believe." The journalist captured candid moments of Bailey's therapy sessions, her cautious first steps, her wagging tail when Emily cheered her on, and the bond that radiated between them. The article, accompanied by heartwarming photos, went viral, drawing attention from animal lovers around the world. Soon, messages began pouring in from people inspired by Bailey's story. A woman from Oregon wrote about her own dog, who had been paralyzed in a car accident. Our father from Texas shared how the article had given his family hope for their injured golden retriever. Emily read each message, her heart swelling with gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. Meanwhile, back at the farm, life continued to unfold. Emily's grandfather, inspired by Bailey's journey, began volunteering at a local animal shelter, helping care for dogs in need. Her parents worked tirelessly to expand the barn, planning to turn part of it into a rehabilitation center for animals. Emily, fueled by the outpouring of support, decided to channel her passion into something bigger. With the help of her family, she started a community initiative called Bailey's Hope, a program dedicated to providing resources and support for families with injured pets. The initiative partnered with veterinarians, therapists, and donors to make regenerative therapy more accessible. Through it all, Bailey's strength grew. Each milestone, standing unassisted, walking a few steps, playing gently with Emily in the yard, was celebrated as a victory. She had become a symbol of resilience, inspiring everyone around her to see challenges as opportunities for growth. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emily sat on the porch with Bailey by her side. The world was quiet, save for the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. Emily looked into Bailey's eyes, filled with the unwavering trust that had carried them through. "You're more than just my best friend, Bailey," she said, her voice steady with emotion. "You're a miracle." Bailey's recovery seemed unstoppable, yet every journey has its challenges, and the family was about to face their greatest one yet. Just as hope began to blossom fully, an unexpected complication threatened to unravel everything. It was a cold November morning when Emily noticed something unusual during one of Bailey's therapy sessions. Bailey, who had been growing more confident with her steps, suddenly froze mid-stride. Her ears perked forward, her tail tucked between her legs, and she whimpered softly. Emily immediately knelt beside her. "What's wrong, Bailey?" Emily whispered, her voice laced with worry. She gently stroked Bailey's fur, trying to calm her, but the dog refused to move. Her back legs trembled slightly, and she whimpered again. Dr. Hartman, who had just entered the barn for his routine check-in, rushed over. "Let's have a look," he said, his tone calm but urgent. He carefully examined Bailey, running his hands along her spine and legs. After a few tense moments, he sighed deeply. "It's a setback," he said. "She might be experiencing nerve pain or muscle strain from overexertion. We'll need to scale back her therapy and run some tests to rule out anything serious." Emily's heart sank. "But she was doing so well," she said, her voice breaking. "How could this happen?" Dr. Hartman placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Setbacks are common in recovery, Emily. It doesn't mean Bailey won't keep improving, but we need to be cautious." The news hit the family hard. For weeks, they had celebrated every small victory, believing that Bailey's recovery was inevitable. Now doubt crept into their hearts. What if this was a sign that her progress had reached its limit? What if all their efforts had been in vain? As days turned into weeks, Bailey's energy seemed to dwindle. She became reluctant to engage in therapy. Her usual spark dimmed. Emily tried everything to motivate her. Extra treats, gentle encouragement, even her favorite toys. But nothing seemed to work. The once unstoppable duo now faced a wall that felt insurmountable. Emily's frustration grew. One evening, after a particularly difficult session, she stormed into the house, tears streaming down her face. "What if this is it?" she cried, collapsing onto the couch. "What if Bailey never walks again?" Her grandfather sat beside her, his weathered hands gently patting her back. "Emily," he said softly, "do you remember when we thought Bailey wouldn't survive at all? Look at her now. She's come so far because you never gave up on her." "But what if I'm hurting her by pushing too hard?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "What if I'm being selfish?" Her grandfather's eyes glistened with emotion. "It's not selfish to believe in someone you love," he said. "But sometimes love means listening, really listening to what they need." His words stayed with Emily that night as she sat by Bailey's side, stroking her fur. "Am I pushing you too hard?" she whispered. Bailey nuzzled her hand, her eyes warm and trusting. In that moment, Emily realized that their journey wasn't just about milestones or progress. It was about the bond they shared and the unconditional love that fueled their fight. The next day, Emily approached Dr. Hartman with a new plan. "Let's take a step back," she said. "No more intense therapy for now. Let's focus on making Bailey happy and comfortable." Dr. Hartman agreed, and the family shifted their approach. Instead of rigorous exercises, they spent more time simply enjoying life with Bailey. Emily read to her under the old oak tree, played gentle games of tug-of-war, and let her roam freely in the yard. Slowly, Bailey's spirit began to return. Then, one crisp winter afternoon, something extraordinary happened. Emily and Bailey were walking through the snowy field behind the barn when Bailey suddenly stopped and perked her ears. Before Emily could react, Bailey took a tentative step forward, unassisted. "Bailey!" Emily exclaimed, her voice filled with both shock and joy. She stood frozen as Bailey took another step, then another, her legs shaky but determined. Emily dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "You did it!" she cried, wrapping Bailey in a hug. "You did it, Bailey." Her parents and grandfather, who had been watching from the porch, rushed over, their cheers echoing across the fields. Bailey wagged her tail furiously, her eyes shining with pride. Dr. Hartman, who arrived moments later, could hardly believe what he was seeing. "She's healing," he said, his voice filled with awe. "The rest and emotional connection, it's made all the difference." The critical turning point had arrived. Bailey's resilience, combined with Emily's unwavering love, had brought them through the darkest days. But as the family celebrated this incredible breakthrough, they knew the journey wasn't over. The true test of Bailey's recovery and their bond was yet to come. With Bailey's unexpected breakthrough, hope surged through the family once more. However, Dr. Hartman cautioned them not to get ahead of themselves. "This is a big moment," he said, "but recovery isn't a straight path. Bailey's body still needs time to rebuild strength, and we have to ensure her progress is sustainable." Emily took his words to heart, but deep down, she felt a renewed determination. If Bailey had come this far, there was no limit to what they could achieve together. The family rallied around Bailey, implementing a balanced plan of light therapy sessions and plenty of time for rest and play. The barn became a hive of activity, with friends and neighbors stopping by to witness Bailey's progress and lend their support. Yet not everyone believed in Bailey's full recovery. One morning, while Emily was working with Bailey in the yard, a neighbor named Mr. Harper arrived. He was an experienced dog trainer known for his blunt opinions. "Emily," he began, his tone cautious, "I've been watching Bailey's journey, and while I admire your dedication, you need to consider the long-term quality of her life. Dogs are resilient, but sometimes we need to make tough choices." Emily's jaw tightened. She had heard this argument before, but it stung just the same. "With all due respect, Mr. Harper, Bailey is proving every day that she wants to keep fighting. I won't give up on her now." Mr. Harper nodded, a flicker of respect crossing his face. "I hope you're right," he said. "Just be careful not to let your heart blind you to her limits." His words lingered in Emily's mind that evening as she sat by Bailey's side. She had always believed in Bailey's strength, but was she pushing her too far? The weight of doubt pressed heavily on her, but one look at Bailey's bright eyes reassured her. This wasn't just about her hope. It was about Bailey's will to thrive. The next day, Dr. Hartman arrived with an exciting but daunting proposition. "I've been discussing Bailey's case with some colleagues," he explained, "and there's a trial for advanced therapy equipment designed for canine rehabilitation. It's experimental, but it could significantly accelerate her recovery." Emily's parents exchanged concerned glances. "What's the catch?" her father asked. Dr. Hartman sighed. "The equipment is cutting edge and comes with a high cost. While the trial covers some expenses, there's still a substantial fee, and there are risks involved. It's not guaranteed to work." Emily felt her stomach drop. The family had already stretched their finances thin for Bailey's care. "How much would it cost?" she asked hesitantly. Dr. Hartman named the figure, and Emily's heart sank further. It was an overwhelming amount, far beyond what her family could afford. Her mother spoke softly. "Emily, we love Bailey as much as you do, but this is a lot to take on." Emily nodded, understanding the practicality of their concerns, but unable to shake the feeling that this was Bailey's best shot at a full recovery. That night, she stayed awake brainstorming ways to raise the money. Her grandfather found her at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers and a notebook filled with ideas. "What are you working on, kiddo?" he asked. "I'm trying to figure out how to pay for Bailey's treatment," she said. "There has to be a way." Her grandfather smiled gently. "You've always been a problem solver," he said. "But remember, you're not alone in this. Sometimes people surprise you with their willingness to help." The next morning, Emily approached her parents with a plan. "Let's hold a fundraiser," she said. "We can share Bailey's story with the community and ask for their support. People already care about her. They've been following her journey. Maybe they'd want to help." Her parents hesitated, but her grandfather chimed in. "It's worth a try," he said. "Bailey's inspired so many people. Let's give them a chance to give back." Over the next week, the family worked tirelessly to organize the event. They set up a website to share Bailey's story, complete with photos and updates, and spread the word through social media and local news outlets. Friends and neighbors volunteered to help, donating baked goods, crafts, and services for a silent auction. The day of the fundraiser dawned bright and clear. The barn was transformed into a bustling event space, filled with laughter, music, and the scent of homemade treats. Bailey sat proudly at the entrance, her tail wagging as guests arrived. Emily stood beside her, overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and support. As the event unfolded, donations poured in. A local business owner pledged to match every dollar raised, and by the end of the day, they had not only met but exceeded their goal. Emily hugged Bailey tightly, tears streaming down her face. "We did it, girl," she whispered. "Because of you, we're one step closer." With the funds secured, Bailey's advanced therapy began. The new equipment allowed her to practice walking with precise support, gradually strengthening her muscles and improving her coordination. Every session was a challenge, but Bailey tackled each one with determination, her bond with Emily growing stronger than ever. The stage was set for the climax of Bailey's incredible journey, a moment that would define everything they had fought for. The first day of Bailey's advanced therapy felt like the dawn of a new chapter. As the new equipment was assembled in the barn, a mix of excitement and apprehension filled the air. This was their chance, the culmination of weeks of struggle and hope. But the pressure weighed heavily on everyone. The new system was sleek yet imposing, a sophisticated framework designed to mimic natural movements while providing support where needed. Bailey eyed it curiously, her nose twitching as she sniffed the strange contraption. "You've got this, Bailey," Emily whispered, stroking her fur. "We're in this together." Dr. Hartman and the therapy team carefully guided Bailey into the harness. It was a delicate process, ensuring her comfort while aligning her body correctly. Bailey remained calm, her trust in Emily and the team evident in her steady gaze. Once the setup was complete, Dr. Hartman addressed Emily. "This is the moment of truth," he said. "We'll start with minimal support and gradually increase as she begins to move. Are you ready?" Emily nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. She knelt beside Bailey, her voice soft but steady. "We've come so far, girl. Just take it one step at a time." The team activated the system, and the harness gently lifted, taking some of Bailey's weight. At first, she seemed unsure, her legs trembling as she adjusted to the unfamiliar sensation. The barn grew silent. the only sound the soft creak of the machinery, and the occasional shuffle of hooves from the other animals. "Come on, Bailey," Emily encouraged, holding a treat just out of reach. "You can do this." Bailey hesitated for a moment, then shifted her weight forward. Her front paw moved, followed by the other. The harness provided just enough support to keep her stable, but the effort was hers alone. A murmur of excitement rippled through the room as Bailey took her first unassisted steps. "She's doing it," Emily's mother whispered, her voice tinged with awe. "She's really doing it." But just as hope surged, Bailey faltered. Her back legs buckled slightly, and she let out a small whimper. Emily rushed forward, her heart pounding. "It's okay, Bailey," she said, her voice soothing. "Take a break. You're doing amazing." Dr. Hartman adjusted the harness, giving Bailey a moment to recover. "This is normal," he said. "She's building strength, but it's exhausting work. Let's give her some time and try again." Emily knelt beside Bailey, holding her close. "You're the bravest dog I know," she whispered. "No matter what happens, I'm so proud of you." After a brief rest, Bailey seemed ready to try again. This time, her steps were more deliberate, her movements more confident. With each step, she seemed to grow stronger, her tail wagging faintly as if sensing the collective support around her. Emily walked beside her, offering constant encouragement. "That's it, Bailey. You're amazing." The therapy session stretched into the afternoon, each small victory met with cheers and tears from the gathered family and friends. By the end of the day, Bailey had taken several unassisted steps, a monumental achievement that left everyone in awe. But the true test came the next morning. Emily woke early, eager to see how Bailey was feeling after the intense session. As she opened the barn door, she found Bailey standing on her own, her eyes bright and her posture steady. "Mom, Dad," Emily called, her voice ringing with excitement. "Come quick, she's standing on her own." Her parents rushed in, their expressions a mix of disbelief and joy. Dr. Hartman arrived shortly after, his face lighting up at the sight. "This is incredible," he said, carefully observing Bailey. "She's adapting faster than I expected. Her muscles are responding beautifully." Encouraged by her progress, Emily decided to take Bailey outside for the first time since her accident. The crisp winter air filled the yard as Emily clipped on Bailey's leash and led her out into the open. The other dogs barked their greetings, and Bailey's ears perked up in response. With Emily by her side, Bailey took her first tentative steps on the snowy ground. The uneven terrain challenged her balance, but she pressed on, her determination unwavering. Step by step, she explored the yard, her tail wagging with each new accomplishment. By the time they returned to the barn, Bailey was exhausted but triumphant. Emily knelt beside her, wrapping her arms around her loyal companion. "You did it," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You're incredible, Bailey." The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but in that moment, it all felt worth it. Bailey's progress was a testament to the power of resilience, love, and unwavering belief. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the barn, Emily and Bailey sat together, savoring the quiet triumph of the day. The climax of their journey was just beginning to unfold, a reminder that with courage and support, even the impossible could become reality. The barn was abuzz with anticipation as Emily and her family prepared for Bailey's most significant test yet. It had been weeks since her first successful steps, and now, under the guidance of Dr. Hartman, they were ready to see if she could walk completely unaided. The community had gathered to witness this moment. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers who had followed Bailey's journey came to show their support. A sense of unity filled the air, everyone eager to celebrate the incredible bond between a young girl and her courageous dog. Emily knelt beside Bailey in the center of the barn, stroking her fur and whispering words of encouragement. "You've come so far, Bailey," she said softly. "No matter what happens today, you've already made us so proud." Bailey wagged her tail, her eyes bright with trust and determination. It was as if she understood the gravity of the moment, the culmination of weeks of hard work, love, and unyielding belief. "Doctor," Hartman stepped forward, addressing the crowd. "This isn't just about physical recovery," he said. "It's about the power of hope and the extraordinary bond between humans and animals. What we're about to see is nothing short of a miracle." The barn fell silent as Dr. Hartman and his team carefully removed the final supports from Bailey's therapy equipment. Emily stood a few feet away, holding her hand out to her beloved companion. "Come on, Bailey," she said, her voice steady despite the lump in her throat. "You can do this." Bailey hesitated for a moment, her legs trembling as she adjusted to the unfamiliar sensation of standing completely unaided. The crowd held their breath, the tension palpable as she took her first shaky step. And then another. Cheers erupted as Bailey walked toward Emily, each step more confident than the last. Tears streamed down Emily's face as Bailey reached her and nuzzled her hand, her tail wagging furiously. "You did it!" Emily cried, wrapping her arms around Bailey. "You're amazing!" The crowd burst into applause, their cheers echoing through the barn. Bailey stood tall, her posture proud and her spirit unbroken. It was a moment of pure triumph, a testament to resilience and the unshakable bond of love. But Bailey wasn't finished. As if sensing the energy of the crowd, she turned toward the open barn doors and began walking outside, her steps steady and purposeful. The audience followed, their excitement growing as Bailey explored the yard for the first time in months. Emily stayed close, her heart swelling with pride as Bailey sniffed the fresh air and wagged her tail at the familiar sights and sounds. The other dogs barked their encouragement, and even the horses seemed to nod approvingly from their paddocks. And then something extraordinary happened. Bailey spotted a group of children playing near the edge of the yard. Her ears perked up, and without hesitation, she trotted toward them. The children squealed with delight as Bailey joined their game, her tail wagging and her movements full of life. "She's back," Emily's father said, his voice choked with emotion. "She's really back." Emily couldn't stop smiling as she watched Bailey run and play, her joy infectious. The crowd cheered and laughed, their spirits lifted by the sight of a dog who had defied the odds and reclaimed her life. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the yard, Emily knelt beside Bailey and hugged her tightly. "You're a miracle, Bailey," she whispered, "and I promise we'll keep writing this story together." Dr. Hartman approached, his expression a mix of pride and wonder. "Emily," he said, "you and Bailey have shown us what's possible when love and determination come together. Her recovery isn't just a victory for her, it's a symbol of hope for everyone who's ever faced the impossible." That evening, as the community celebrated Bailey's incredible journey, Emily reflected on how far they had come. What had started as a moment of despair had transformed into a story of resilience and hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, miracles could happen. Bailey's journey wasn't just about her. It was about the power of belief, the strength of community, and the unbreakable bond between a girl and her dog. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, the celebration at the ranch began to wind down. Families and friends shared laughter and stories, their spirits lifted by the incredible triumph they had witnessed. Emily sat in the grass near Bailey, the two of them enjoying a quiet moment amidst the joyful chatter. Bailey lay beside her, her head resting on Emily's lap, eyes half closed in contentment. The weight of their shared journey settled over Emily, not as a burden but as a testament to everything they had overcome together. "Bailey," Emily whispered, stroking her fur, "you've shown everyone here what it means to never give up. I hope you know how much you mean to all of us." Bailey's tail wagged gently, her way of saying, "I know." Nearby, Dr. Hartman stood with Emily's parents, discussing the next steps in Bailey's care. Though she had made incredible progress, her journey wasn't over. There would still be therapy sessions and moments of challenge, but now the future felt full of possibility. Emily's father approached and knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You've done something amazing, sweetheart," he said, "not just for Bailey, but for all of us. Your belief in her reminded us all how important it is to hold on to hope." Emily smiled, her eyes shining. "I didn't do it alone. Bailey did all the hard work. I just believed in her. And that belief made all the difference," her father said. As the last guests prepared to leave, one of the neighbors approached with a suggestion. "You know," she said, "Bailey's story deserves to be shared. There are so many people out there who could be inspired by what she's accomplished." Emily's mother nodded thoughtfully. "That's a wonderful idea. Maybe we could create a platform to share Bailey's journey and help others who are facing similar challenges." The idea sparked something in Emily. She could see it so clearly. Bailey's story bringing hope to other families, inspiring them to believe in their own possibilities. "Let's do it," she said. "Let's make sure her story reaches as many people as possible." In the weeks that followed, Emily's family worked together to create a blog and social media accounts dedicated to Bailey's journey. They shared videos, photos, and updates about her recovery, along with resources for other pet owners facing similar challenges. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from people who had been touched by Bailey's resilience and Emily's unwavering belief. Veterinarians reached out to learn more about the methods used in Bailey's recovery, while families shared stories of their own pets overcoming obstacles. A network of hope began to form, sparked by the bond between one little girl and her dog. Months later, Emily and Bailey returned to the vet clinic for a follow-up appointment. Dr. Hartman greeted them with a smile. "You've become quite the celebrities," he said, showing them a veterinary magazine featuring Bailey on the cover. The headline read, "Against all odds, the story of a dog who refused to give up." Emily laughed, holding up the magazine for Bailey to see. "Look, Bailey, you're famous." Bailey barked softly, her tail wagging, as if she understood the recognition. As they left the clinic, Emily felt a deep sense of gratitude. What had begun as a moment of despair had transformed into something extraordinary. Bailey wasn't just her dog, she was her partner, her inspiration, and the embodiment of hope. Walking side by side, they headed home, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Because if there was one thing their journey had taught them, it was this: with love, determination, and a little bit of faith, anything was possible. If Bailey's incredible journey touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories of resilience and hope. Hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and join our community in celebrating the unbreakable bond between humans and their beloved animals. Together, we can keep spreading hope and making a difference. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.